Not only is the NBA season beginning very soon, but shortly after that, the college basketball season begins, where we will once again begin to analyze the next crop of potential NBA players that will get drafted next June. So before play begins, I figured we should try to familiarize ourselves with some of the big names, and what better way to do so than in a mock draft. Obviously, because it's still super early in the year and things will likely change a ton, the purpose of this isn't necessarily to make a dead-on accurate prediction for next draft, but instead just to familiarize ourselves with these players' games and judging where they stand at the time being. As for the order of the teams that we'll be picking in for this, I used a random lottery generator on tankathon.com, so this is not my prediction of where teams will finish. I kept it completely random. Now, before we get started, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, as all support is very much appreciated. Now, with that being said, let's begin. Limiting this mock to only the top 10 picks and starting at number 10, we have Precious Achiuwa from Memphis going to the Atlanta Hawks. Achiuwa is 6 foot 9 inches of pure strength, athleticism, and quickness. He has an NBA-ready body already, can play both forward positions, and should prove to be an excellent versatile defender. On top of his strong frame and explosiveness, he has great body control and coordination, making him very tough to stop from getting to the basket whenever he wants to. In today's era of players that tend to be tweeners between two positions, thriving more so than ever before, Achiuwa should fit right into NBA rotations and have an important role. Especially with the way the Hawks are building their team, playing fast, up-tempo basketball, and getting out in transition with Trae Young leading the way, Achiuwa should work perfectly in a scenario like this. His jump shot does need some improvement, but overall, he's a solid prospect with a good chance of being a lottery pick. Next, with the 9th pick in the draft, the Chicago Bulls select Josh Green from Arizona. Green isn't quite the athlete Achiuwa is, but he still has top-tier physical traits that will appeal heavily to NBA scouts. He's 6'6" with a 6'10" wingspan, giving him the length to pair with the athleticism, making for some intriguing measurables. On the court though, he's a pretty balanced player that excels in many areas without a glaring weakness or necessarily a top-level strength. He can space the floor as a spot-up shooter, finish through contact at the rim, and even has a pretty good floater that he uses in the paint. One thing he needs to improve, though, throughout the course of the college season is his creativity as a ball handler, because he tends to rely on his quickness to beat defenders instead of any kind of creativity or craftiness. And while that works at the high school level, the college and professional game are obviously much different. Next up, with the 8th pick in the draft, the Minnesota Timberwolves select Nico Mannion from Arizona. Mannion and Green are actually going to be teammates this season, forming a backcourt that should and could potentially feature 2 lottery picks. Mannion is the prototypical scoring point guard that thrives in today's NBA, as he's a terrific shooter of the ball with a very strong handle and is able to create offense for both himself and others with ease. He's about as pure of a scorer as there will be in this class, and after you get past the fact that he may not necessarily look like a basketball player, you'll realize he's a walking bucket. He doesn't necessarily possess the physical profile that others do that we've discussed already, not really being very strong or explosive athletically, but he's very smart out on the court and uses his ability to score from all 3 levels to keep defenses honest. Minnesota's weakest position right now is at point guard, with Jeff Teague showing signs of decline and Shabazz Napier being a decent backup at best, so Mannion would be a decent option for them at this spot. Next up, with the 7th pick in the draft, the Boston Celtics, who get the Memphis Grizzlies pick in this scenario, select Deni Avdija from Israel. After seeing how much success Luka Doncic experienced in the league so fast, it's inevitable that NBA teams will start to look for the next Luka Doncic, and Avdija might be just that. He recently won the MVP of the FIBA Under-20 European Championship, and currently is seen by many as the best prospect in Europe. He's definitely nowhere near as accomplished as Luka was coming into the league, but they do both possess similar play styles and physical traits. Avdija is also a big guard, standing at 6'9", and is a terrific playmaker for both himself and others as a passer. The Celtics getting this pick from the Grizzlies might be an opportunity for them to swing for the fences, because while he does have a bit of bust potential due to his limited play at the senior level, he could also become a great player down the line. Up next, with the 6th pick in the draft, the Phoenix Suns select RJ Hampton, who is playing in Australia this year. Hampton is a silky smooth 6'5" point guard that both possesses pure point guard instincts and can light up the scoreboard in bunches. He's a very good shooter, probably one of the best in the draft class, and when he gets going, there's not much stopping him. Choosing to go overseas to play professionally instead of college basketball is always an interesting choice for these young guys, as you really can't fault them for wanting to get paid right away, but the exposure to the American scouts, teams, and fans is definitely much bigger at the college level. Another benefit of the choice he made, though, is that he's playing against other professionals and grown men on a regular basis, which is also better quality competition than most college teams he would have faced. We'll see how he handles the year in Australia, but the expectation is that he's going to prove he's worthy of being in the lottery. Next, with the 5th pick in the draft, the New York Knicks select Anthony Edwards from Georgia. Edwards is a 2-guard with a killer instinct and motor that you want as a go-to scorer. If you're not always on your toes guarding him, you may end up on a poster, because he does not shy away from contact at the rim and will make you pay if you're not careful. He's truly a threat to score every time he touches the ball, because he can also hit tough shots from the perimeter, so the threat of that opens things up for him to drive and vice versa. If you're looking for a player comparison at the pro level, think Victor Oladipo, who also has top-tier explosiveness, grit, and solid perimeter play. He's one of several players that will surely be in contention for the first overall selection come June, and is set to have a big season at Georgia. Up next, with the 4th pick in the draft, the Detroit Pistons select Cole Anthony from UNC. We've talked a lot about dynamic scoring guards so far in this mock draft, and Cole Anthony very well may prove to be the best of the bunch. His pull-up jumper is money, and he gets great lift on that shot, which will help him shoot over defenders at the next level. At 6'3", things like that are a definite plus to have in his game. He's also very athletic, can soar when he attacks the rim, and his smooth ball handling ability makes it look easy for him to get where he wants. On top of that, his IQ out on the court as a point guard has been one of his best traits, and in Roy Williams' offense this year, he's going to be given the opportunity to create a ton. Next up, with the 3rd pick in the draft, the Cleveland Cavaliers select Isaiah Stewart from Washington. Stewart's claim to fame comes on the defensive end, where he protects the paint at a very high level. As a center, he may only be 6'9", but his wingspan measures in at a whopping 7'4", so his length more than makes up for it, and he's also very strong already, so while adding strength tends to be a need for most young centers looking to take their game to the next level, that's not really a weakness of Stewart's. His offensive game isn't quite as polished yet, but if the Cavaliers are picking here, they'll be looking for a big man to pair with the abundance of young guards and wings they have on their roster, and Stewart would be a nice beneficiary of those kinds of players. Up next, with the 2nd pick in the draft, the Charlotte Hornets select LaMelo Ball, who is playing in Australia. LaMelo has become arguably the most famous amateur athlete in a long time, and the debate surrounding him and his family has been raging on for years. However, recently, NBA scouts have begun taking serious notice of him as a prospect, and for very good reason. LaMelo's making the game look so easy at times because he's so smooth and under control with the ball. He may not be an elite explosive athlete in the traditional sense, but he's so fluid with the ball, and the threat of him pulling up to shoot from anywhere opens things up for those around him as well. Adding on to that, one of his biggest strengths is his passing and playmaking, and he really is becoming a great floor general. He may have found himself in the headlines because of the family he's in way too much, but looking past all of that, he's an amazing prospect with a legitimate chance to go number 1 in June. And finally, with the number 1 pick in the draft, the Washington Wizards select James Wiseman. Wiseman is the number 1 prospect coming into the season, and for good reason. He's a big 7-footer with long arms, protects the paint as a rim protector very well, runs the floor better than most bigs because he's quick and agile, and is explosive at the rim. His face-up game is also developing, and while it may not be consistently reliable now, it is something that could come down the line as long as he keeps working on it. Overall, he does everything NBA teams want from their center, and would be a great fit in any system. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment down below who you think should go number 1. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.